At Vestas, we have a simple process called the Safe Work Approach. The Vestas Safe Work Approach empowers everyone to identify and mitigate hazards before and during work. This approach applies to everyone who is doing any work in or around a turbine. That means standard work, such as turbine installation and scheduled services, and non-standard work, such as troubleshooting and unscheduled repairs. There are 3 parts to the Safe Work Approach. These are the Safe Work Approach Flow, the Job Safety Analysis, or JSA, and the Pre-Task Plan, or PTP. Let's walk through the flow. The Safe Work Approach Flow starts with identifying the project or work to be done. Is it installation, a scheduled service, or troubleshooting? Then for this work, you need to understand the team's capability, which encompasses their training as well as their physical capability. You also need to identify the equipment. You need to know exactly which turbine you are working on. Is a crane or special tooling involved? And consider the work environment. Is it hot, cold, snowing, or raining? Are you in a confined space? Be sure to assess the variables including work instructions, tools, and PPE. Has the team done this work safely in the past 6 months? Are there any other risks? If the answer is yes to these questions, prepare a JSA and begin work. While working, everyone maintains situational awareness and risk-averse behavior. If the work goes according to plan, complete the job, remove any lockout, tagout, and capture lessons learned. But now let's go back to the start. What if you answered no to any of these questions? Maybe you don't have work instructions or haven't performed the task in the past 6 months. In that case, the crew doing the work along with a lead tech or site manager must complete a pre-task plan, or PTP. If the site has a PTP already written for the work, it can be used, but it must be updated if the equipment or conditions are different. Here you can see the path that leads to getting back to work with a PTP. However, if while completing the PTP it is clear that the team does not have the proper training or equipment, then go back to the beginning of the process. You simply can't do the job without the right people or the right tools. But if it's a yes, with your updated PTP, your team can do your job safety analysis and your pre-use inspections and begin to work. There's one more part to this flow we need to look at. It's here while the crew is working. They must maintain situational awareness. If the situation changes, for example, standard work like installation or scheduled service turns into troubleshooting or anything else not going according to plan, the team must stop and reassess the situation, which may mean going back to the beginning of the flow. As you can see, everyone on the crew must be fully aware of the work being done and potential hazards. Think about it. The team is working at heights, in a remote location, far from help. They are in a confined space with large rotating equipment, pinch points, heavy loads, and high voltage. Considering these hazards, it makes perfect sense for everyone involved to assess the situation, identify hazards, plan their activities, and stay alert for changes. Now let's talk about the JSA and the PTP. Both of these are located on the QSE Hub page. The JSA, or Job Safety Analysis, must be utilized by technicians every day to assess risks before each job is performed. If multiple jobs take place during a single day, multiple JSAs must be completed. Fill out the form correctly and completely, identify the potential risks, and don't document the obvious, which we'll talk about more in a moment. Complete the JSA at the end of the job. The lead tech or the manager must review the JSAs and use them to improve existing procedures and share lessons learned with their team. As we mentioned before, certain circumstances require the team to write a pre-task plan, or PTP. So let's talk about that document. A PTP is required when you do not have adequate work instructions, do not have proper training and certification, have not performed the task safely within the past 6 months, or identify hazards that exceed the scope of the JSA. So far, we've put a big emphasis on filling out the JSA and PTP, But seriously, the safe work approach is about the quality of the conversation among the crew. It's not about the forms. Yes, the form should be filled out accurately, but a nicely written JSA or PTP is not the goal of the safe work approach. The important thing is that the team identifies and eliminates hazards, and the best way to do that is to have a good quality conversation among the team. Think about it. What if one person fills out the JSA while the other person puts the gear in the truck? That's terrible. What if two people talk about the JSA while the third person is on the phone? That's no good. What if you realize you need a PTP but the team goes ahead without it? That's unacceptable. Be sure everyone on the crew is involved in a conversation about hazards and how to mitigate them. In order to have those good conversations, everyone must be present and involved. You need to ask your coworkers what they think and really listen when they speak up. A great question that should be asked every time the team does a job safety analysis or pre-task plan is, what's different today? Think about that for a second. What is different today? Is it Monday? Is it Friday? Did everyone get enough sleep last night? Is someone on the crew having a hard time for any reason? Did the pollen count go up? Did bees suddenly come out in swarms today? Did an unexpected cold snap settle in? Are we heading into or coming off of a long holiday weekend? Is something unusual going on with the turbine? Has there been a change to relevant processes or the tooling? You always want to ask the question, what's different today? So, in closing, let's emphasize that the safe work approach empowers everyone to come together as a team to assess and mitigate hazards prior to and during work. Be smart and be safe.